Hello and welcome to my channel. This is my first video and I'm hoping that this kickstarts my YouTube journey. In this video, I'm going to cover why AI automation fascinates me and why I've decided to embark on this journey of entrepreneurship as well as content creation. Let's get started. If you don't know me, my name is David and I'm an aspiring entrepreneur based in the UK. I am originally from the Czech Republic, but I moved to the UK for uni, which was nearly 8 years ago, and I've stayed here ever since. My entire career has been in the automotive industry and I have gone through various departments, starting in customer services, going through sales operations, then business and strategy planning, until finally landing in product marketing, where I worked firstly as an EV product manager and now I'm an incentives and contribution margin manager. I'm very much commercially oriented and I enjoy thinking about business operations, which is why I really found myself in product marketing and incentive management, because that's where you really get to see pretty much all the parts of the business and you are managing the financials. You are balancing how much you spend on incentive versus how much profit you need to make, but on the other side you also need to sell enough volume. So it's a really interesting part of the business to be in, and I think that lays a really good foundation for being an entrepreneur. I have always inclined to tech, and actually when I was going to uni I did consider doing computer science, but in the end I just went with the generic business management program. My partner says that I'm often very technical for a non-technical person, which means I can't really write code myself, but I can understand code when I see it and I can understand the concepts behind it. That, I think, lays a really good foundation for what I want to do with AI automation. I firstly came across automation in my sales operation role because it was so out of date, the systems they were using at the company. Honestly, the systems were older than me and they still use them today. And essentially, your day-to-day looks like extracting data from database by using Microsoft Access, then putting it into Excel, orchestrating loads of formulas, and then finally creating a presentation. One of the tasks I was actually doing was putting together a quarterly dealer review presentation, which was about 100 of slides, and each time I was doing that, it would take me like full 2 days. Honestly, I'm not lying, I would even be doing overtime. It was a pain. After I did this twice, I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this again. Even though it's just once a quarter, it takes so much effort, there must be an easier way. I had predefined tables in Excel, and I was just copying and pasting those into PowerPoint and then adding some commentary. So I was like, this seems pretty standardized, there must be a way to automate it. So I went and I learned VBA. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's Visual Basic. It's one of the most simple programming languages there is, and it's basically what you can use to create some macros in Microsoft Suite, so Excel, PowerPoint and all of that. So basically I learned how to do some basics in that, and I wrote a macro and it automated the entire thing. So next time this happened, next time I had to do this presentation, instead of spending 2 days on it, I got my Excel files ready, I got all the data ready, and I hit start. It was running on my computer. I could see it doing all the tasks and, opening PowerPoint, closing it, opening Excel, closing it. I could see it working on my screen. So kind of my laptop was occupied, but it was done in 10 minutes. And it was such a big achievement. And since then, I really got hooked on this idea of automation. Today, we are in a much better place. And this, to be fair, this wasn't so long ago. This was like 4 years ago. Today, what we can do with AI is on a completely different level. And the best thing is, it unlocks so many opportunities for people who don't like coding or are scared of it. You don't have to touch coding at all. Now, it does help if you have some understanding of the technical concepts and some of the ideas behind it. It is helpful. But you don't have to write a single line of code, and that's what I think is really exciting. This brings me to AI automation and what I'm planning to do with this channel. A lot of people talk about this AI revolution as being the big moment in history, and they compare it to Industrial Revolution. I somewhat agree, but I'm coming at it from a slightly different angle. The way I see it, I missed out on a lot of opportunities where the economy has boomed or there was something new. As an example, the dot-com era, when there was the boom and everybody needed a website, every business needed a website, and people are just exploring what the internet is. Then there was the social media expansion, and again, lots of businesses and lots of creators built wealth and their brand around that. Another example is Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was at its infancy, it was a huge opportunity to jump into, and the people who jumped on it are doing really well today. I missed out on those opportunities because either I wasn't born yet, or I was just too young, or I was preoccupied with something else. But this time round, I'm prepared. And I feel like I am really in the right place at the right time to jump in on this opportunity from the get-go. Now, arguably, yes, I'm already a little bit late. AI has been around for, well, if you talk about AI in general, years. If you talk about the boom with the large language models, such as the launch of ChatGPT, that's been about 2 or 3 years. But I feel like there's still so much more to happen. And we can see the developments are increasing every single week, every single month. So I think we are still early, and there is still a lot more to do. As I mentioned, I am quite technical for a non-technical person, which means I have the brain of a business guy, I understand the commercial operations, but I also understand the technical concepts. And what I really want to do here is break down those complex topics and make them into practical tips where possible. Basically, I want to focus on business owners because today there are already hundreds of tools out there, and if you haven't been following the AI space, it can feel pretty overwhelming. It can feel like you don't even know where to start. Like, even if we talk just about the chatbots, yeah? You've got ChatGPT, you've got Claude, you've got Perplexity, you've got Gemini. Now, if you haven't used any of them, first of all, why have you been living under the rock? But second of all, where do you start? Which one is good for what? What am I supposed to use? And I think it can be so confusing for people that haven't followed the space. And at the same time, if you do follow the space, there's a new release every single week. How do you keep up with that? If you're running a business, you've got plenty going on your own plate, and you don't need to follow every single AI company to understand what they did this week. Now, this is where I come in, and I want to help you get real hands-on practical knowledge and say, look, ignore all the noise out there and just focus on what's practical, what will save you time and essentially make you some money back. So that's what I really want to hone in on. I really want to focus on practical advice that can save time to small business owners. Then, once you start using those AI tools, chances are you will save a lot of time. Chances are you will improve your profit margins. Once you get to that stage, what do you do with the money? That's where my another passion comes in. I've always been intrigued by investing, but I didn't really know how to break into it. It all felt so distant and scary and remote, like where do I start with an account, what taxes will I have to pay, and all of these big questions. But then 2020 happened and the COVID pandemic basically made all of the stocks drop very significantly. And I was like, now is the perfect opportunity to jump into it. I have nothing to wait for, I just need to get started. That's what I did. I jumped into it. It has evolved a lot since then. My approach to investing has evolved a lot. It has been about 6 years. And I think I've learned a lot by just being in market and acting on that opportunity. So it was really helpful. It was really good that I got this push to get into it. But at the same time, I didn't enter the market in the best way possible. I can see that now. Still, I am glad I did it. Because if I didn't, I would still be thinking, oh, how do I even get started? And I'm now 6 years later in a completely different place. Only because I took action. I invest mainly in stocks. Most of those are based in the US. I've got a couple of European or Asian, but mostly US-based stocks. And I am also a big proponent of Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, I've mentioned at the start that I feel like, I missed the opportunity early on. And that is true. I have ignored Bitcoin for quite a long time. And I joined in, I want to say 2021. And since then, I have studied it a lot. I've spent at least 2 years studying it really intensely and understanding the concept behind it and the community and the pros and cons. And basically, I've been convinced that Bitcoin is here to stay. Bitcoin will do a lot of good for the society. And overall, yes, on one hand, it might feel like you have missed out, but actually, it will grow so much bigger. Like, if you have a long-term horizon, which you should do with investing, then Bitcoin is a really good investment. Now, I can't give you investment advice, but that's what I think personally. I am convinced of it, and that's why I'm investing in Bitcoin as well as stocks. I don't really invest in any other cryptocurrencies. Maybe I will make a video about that at some point, but basically Bitcoin is my main go-to. So yeah, AI automation is the main thing I will cover on this channel. Maybe if there's interest, I may talk about investing, stocks, we'll see what happens. Just to round kind of this introduction and for you to get to know me as a person a little bit more, the final bit is like, what else do I do? When I'm not in like spreadsheets and thinking of investing in business and all of that, I do street dance. And I've been doing this for over 10 years. I am currently in 2 crews that are based in London, so I train twice a week. Each session is about 3 hours long, so it can be quite demanding. But I really enjoy that. I major in hip-hop, that's kind of my main style, but it is such an interesting sport, I would say, because you are mentally engaged, like you have to remember the moves, but you also engage all of your muscles in your body. You know, sometimes you do floor work, sometimes you just work with your arms, so it's really good for like your coordination, and I think it keeps you sharp as well, but you can also use your emotions because dancing is basically silent acting, and you need to get your emotions through to the audience. You need to be able to tell a story with it, which I think is, again, very interesting. I did a bit of acting when I was little as well, but I didn't love it as much, and I just think dancing is so much better. Outside of that, I also enjoy gaming. I mean, maybe this setup does look a little bit like a gamer setup. I did some streaming a while back, maybe like 2 years ago, but I have since kind of stopped that, move away from it. I really want to focus on the business side of things right now. But, you know, if I do have some time, I do enjoy gaming. It can be both PC gaming and board games as well. I love a board game. The more complex, the better. I'm not such a big fan of like Dungeons and Dragons, but I love a good I think it's called Euro game, but basically it's mainly about, surprise, surprise, economics. So as an example, like Clans of Caledonia, where you basically have, you play for a clan, and you need to figure out how best to farm your resources and make the supply chain. Or Mars, I think it's called Terraforming Mars. There's also an amazing game where basically you start from zero and you're building up your empire and you are making Mars habitable. All of those sorts of games, and I really like complexity. I don't really like games that are just based on chance, like Monopoly. It's just about rolling dice, and yes, it can be fun with friends and drinks, but ultimately you can't really influence it that much. So yeah, it can be fun, but I enjoy a lot more a complex game. This was a whistle-stop tour of what I'm about and what I'm planning to do with this channel. If this sounds interesting and you'd like to see how my journey has developed, click here and check out my latest video.